So I was talking in the previous part about how the Saturn version of the game isn't really all that better. Its graphics aren't really all that better, its soundtrack is bland and forgettable. And I hate the Emerald Collection. I hate how you can't get multiple emeralds in one act. But there's at least two other differences. For one, the Saturn version of the game has a different special stage, where it takes more advantage of the better graphics of Saturn. I'll be showing the special stages of the Saturn and PC version in the extra video, so I won't talk about them yet. Suffice to say, they're nothing like this. Which kinda sucks, because I really like these special stages. I love how easy they are. Although they can be pretty tense when you're actually playing them, at least for me. Because I really don't want to run into a mine, or... And it sucks jumping too much, because then you'll jump over all the rings. But yeah, the most significant differences to me, gameplay-wise, are the restricted emerald collection, and obviously the special stages. But the major reason that I think the Saturn version sucks is the load times. For reference, the load times of the Saturn version are comparable to Sonic 06, which is infamous for having load times that are up to 25 seconds long. And this kind of makes sense because the Saturn version of the game is a disc. Cartridges don't really have load times all that well because it's put into the hardware itself. The Saturn version of the game has to read off a disc, and so it can have load times that are much worse. Yeah, I hate sections like that. I really don't see the point of trying to make it a pinball level. I mean, I like these things when they actually decide to spring me up. Really would prefer if they were actual springs, but whatever. I just don't like being sent directions I don't want to go, that's all. But yeah, I think the terrible load times are just completely inexcusable, and I don't understand why people would think that they're acceptable. For that reason alone, I think the Genesis version is better. Although, Saturn special stages, I guess, can be more fun, so there's that. Although, just because I don't like the Saturn version doesn't mean that I don't want people to be able to play it. Which is pretty likely because neither the Saturn or PC port of this game has ever been re-released. Every time there's a re-release of Sonic 3D Blast, it's always the Genesis version. Really goes to show you which version the game developers thought was superior. But yeah, if you want to play the Saturn version, either you gotta get a Saturn, which is easier said than done, or you've gotta get an emulator and hope that you can get it working. More sections like this to try to pretend it's a real Sonic game. Although I still appreciate the fast parts when they come. They're just nothing like they are in 2D Sonic games. They're not long enough. And see, this right here. This part of the level is completely pointless if you're playing the Saturn version because you can't collect multiple emeralds in a single act. So there's really no point in having Knuckles and Tails be in the exact same area in the Saturn version. It's kind of weird that Knuckles is here at all though. I mean, sure, in the Dreamcast era and up, Knuckles doesn't really care about guarding Master Emerald anymore. Or he doesn't seem to be, considering how often he just hangs around Sonic like it's no problem at all. But in the classic era, he's spending a lot more time on Angel Island and guarding Master Emerald. And you can tell because he doesn't show up very often around Sonic, unless it's either necessary or Eggman tricked him. So it's not really... It's kind of weird seeing Knuckles here when he should be on Angel Island. I mean, who's guarding the Master Emerald? Can't the Master Emerald just guard itself? I mean, it's a magical emerald. Can't it just create a force field around itself? Can't Knuckles make it do that? Why does he have to spend all of his time sitting in front of it, sleeping, when he could be doing something else? It seems really impractical having a magical emerald like that just guarded by someone just sitting in front of it all day. Because, like, you can't just sit in one place all day. You gotta have something to do, some mental stimulation. You gotta go to the washroom at some point. It doesn't really, the whole guardian thing doesn't really make any sense when it's a magical emerald that should be able to create a force field around itself or something. But my point is, it doesn't really make any sense that Knuckles is here. It would have made more sense if Tails was here and that's it. But then it would have sucked because there would only be Tails in the levels. And so you would have less opportunities to get all the Chaos Emeralds. But then why can't they just be Amy instead of Knuckles? I mean, Amy is Sonic's stalker, so it kind of makes sense that she'd be able to follow him around and go into the levels. But I would prefer if Tails was just, you know, flying me over the levels. Why does he have to? I mean, he's not really helping out, other than getting you into special stages. And one of my least favorite things about trying to collect all the Chaos Emeralds, well, collecting the rings and holding on to them is not that big of a deal. It's finding the emeralds that's really annoying. Yeah, I failed at the special stage. Because I kept jumping over the rings in a desperation to not lose. And when you reach a checkpoint without enough rings to get booted out of it. And so, you have to either collect 50 rings, and the rings in the level don't completely respawn after you go into a special stage. So I would have had to go to the next level to get this special stage again. Or I could just reload my state. I mean, that's exactly what I did, but god damn it! And so I had to do it again. You can tell that this is the hardest special stage in the game. Like, these special stages can still be hard if they want to be. They just have to have enough mines in them. It's a really good idea to take advantage of the walls slowing you down, because if you're going too fast, then you'll jump too far, and so you'll jump over too many of the rings. But yeah, it's just kind of underwhelming that Tails isn't actually helping you, other than getting into special stages. Because in the previous 2D Sonic games, Tails was going through the levels like Sonic. And sure, he was made an optional character, but like in Sonic 3 and Sonic 2, Tails was following behind you, and sure, he was an annoyance, but at least it conveyed in the story, telling a story without words, that Tails was helping Sonic on his adventures by going through the levels with him. This game sort of marks the trend of Tails not really doing that anymore. He's just hanging back, doing his own thing, not really getting involved in the action. Although it's not until after Sonic Heroes when that really starts to become a problem. I mean, I understand it. Like, it's smart that Tails wants to avoid getting hurt by getting involved in the action. And he's more of an engineer, so he should focus on what he's best at. Because not only is he a kid, but he basically, like, Sonic gets all sorts of cool abilities as the games progress. Like, by this point, Sonic has over 100 abilities in the games. He doesn't have all of them at once in any one game, but still. Tails hasn't really advanced in terms of abilities. I mean, back in the classic era, Tails was like Sonic, but better because he could fly. But starting with this game, Sonic gets more and more abilities that Tails doesn't get, like a homing attack. The homing attack was introduced in this game as a power-up, but it makes sense that using the homing attack in this game gave Sonic an idea that, hey, maybe if I spin dash in the air, I'll be able to do a homing attack whenever I want. And it's not really, yeah. I was so close to using Supersonic, but then I got hit. So I loaded the state and tried again. But yeah, this is Supersonic. And again, it's only in the Supersonic ROM hack. You can't play as Supersonic in the actual levels in 3D Blast. You can only do it in Sonic 3D Blast with Supersonic. Which sucks because it would have been such a great reward for collecting all the emeralds. Although there is a graphical glitch where everything that shares the color of Sonic gets turned into the same color that he is when he turns Supersonic. Like, you saw golden flickies earlier and golden balloons. That's because of the whole color limitations thing. But it's not really that big of a deal. Personally, I don't think Supersonic looks very good here, but that's because all of the shadows and stuff, I don't know. But I love playing as him. Although, I kind of assumed that he would have an effect where he had the homing attack all the time. But unfortunately, that's not the case. You can't have the golden shield while you're Supersonic, and you can't turn into Supersonic while you have a shield. So you can't have the homing attack as Supersonic, which is pretty lame. But you're invincible, so it's really not that big of a deal. Like, I feel like it's worth it. I hate this boss. The ice-magic perspective makes it really easy to get hit by the arms as they move down. Because you can't really tell when they're above the air and when they're able to hit you. You can't tell which parts of them can hit you and which parts of them can't because they're above you. Like, you gotta jump into Eggman from northeast of him. That's the safest place to do it, because if you do it from here, you'll probably get hit. But there's spiked floors, and it's really easy to get hurt here. It's really easy to lose a ring and not be able to get them back. Like, I lost that ring, and it just disappeared. Like, I never thought this boss was fun. I hate how you're constantly running around in a giant circle. And then I tried to jump into him, but I couldn't. I wanted to do an instant 180-degree turn and turn to face him, but I didn't. And so I just moved in a circle and then I died. Boss fights can be pretty annoying because of the way the camera is. But yeah, I was talking earlier about how neither the Saturn or PC port of this game has been re-released. Well, Japan never saw the Genesis version when it first came out. Probably because the Saturn was a lot more successful over there, so they didn't see the point of releasing on the Saturn. They didn't see the point of releasing on the Genesis at all in Japan. But outside of Japan, the Genesis version was released pretty well. Like, a lot of people had it. And the Japanese version of the Saturn game, it has slightly faster load times, but it removed the level select code. I won't be showing it off, but in the Genesis version, there's a level select code you can do where by inputting B, A, right on the D-pad, A, C, up on the D-pad, down, and A, you'll have the level select. And you can use that to get to the very final boss of the game without getting all the Chaos Emeralds. And the level select cheat is pretty easy to remember because it spells out the word Barracuda. Because B, A, R for right, A, C, U for up, D for down, and then A. But yeah, this is Diamond Dust Zone, and it's pretty annoying. The ice floor makes things even more slippery. You have to jump pretty far to get over here. So it can be kind of luck-based making that jump. I'll rant more about the level in the next part, because I felt like this was the perfect place to end this part with a successful jump, after many, many failed attempts.